This is The Herd, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. Live in Los Angeles, iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, and FS1. Holly Saunders joining me. Holly, how are you today?
Hello, what is going on? It's a good first hour.
This is my, we all know football season's big for our business, and the NBA playoffs are big. March is fantastic. I got Tiger over the weekend. I got LeBron and the Lakers. I get March Madness. Now I get all sorts of NFL news breaking today. I love the NFL, so this is so much fun for me. It's this convergence right now of all these different sports. And today in the NFL, Kirk Cousins signed with the Vikings. An NFC source who I trust told me the people that didn't get Kirk Cousins are in panic mode today in the NFL. Buffalo does not have a quarterback, folks. The Jets don't have a quarterback. Arizona doesn't have a quarterback. Denver's going to settle for Case Keenum. Okay, so last week, I'm not really a mock draft guy, but last week or the week before, I saw a couple of mock drafts, and they were absurd. They had like Sam Darnold going 8th round. We don't even have an 8th round. Like he wasn't even getting picked. It was just ridiculous. So I said, enough of this. I'm going to do a mock draft. Why can't I do a mock draft? And so I did something. I just do my top 10 picks. It was revolutionary. It's never been done in the history of mock drafts. I had a trade that I predicted in the first 10 picks.
Not revolutionary.
What do you mean?
Everybody does that.
Everybody does what?
Everyone does mock trades in their mock draft.
Not that I've seen. Maybe you're out there on the blogosphere. I've never seen it done. So anyway, it was revolutionary by me, and I made a prediction that Buffalo was going to start moving way up the draft because they know Darnold, I think it's Josh Allen at Wyoming. I think they know in that climate they need a big, strong kid, kind of a Big Ben body type. So I made this crazy prediction. So here was my mock draft, and I did this a couple weeks ago, and then I upgraded it. And again, this revolutionary proclamation, this prediction I made.
Not revolutionary.
All right. Bills, who were at 22nd, would move up to 9. Well, they have officially moved up to 12. And I don't think they're done. I do not think so. I put number 1, I have the Browns getting Sam Darnold. Right pick. Number 2, I have the Giants, who say they don't want a quarterback. I think they're afraid to offend Eli Manning getting Saquon Barkley. Colts getting a pass rusher. They desperately need Bradley Chubb. Browns getting the surest fire player in the draft, Minka Fitzpatrick, safety, Alabama. I still contend the Broncos, even with Case Keenum, see him as a bridge, a stopgap for a year or two, go after Josh Rosen. The Jets now, if they sign Teddy Bridgewater, he needs help. They have no receivers, Calvin Ridley. Bucks have a terrible offensive line. They go out and get Notre Dame guard Quentin Nelson, who many think is a can't-bust prospect. Bears get a corner from Ohio State. And the Bills move up to number 9. So they are at 12, officially. Here's the interesting one. Keep your eye on the number 3 pick, Indianapolis. Okay, Chris Ballard is a wheeler dealer. I mean, he's flipped about 40% of this roster in the last 12 months. Like 26 guys he's flipped. He's a wheeler dealer. Andrew Luck's coming back. They have 7 picks in this draft. They'd love to have 8 or 9. Would Indianapolis be willing, there's a couple of good pass rushers in this draft, be willing to say, Buffalo, you're at 12, you get our 3rd, we get your 12th, and we get another first-round pick. Buffalo's got 2 third, 2 second. Keep your eye on the number 3 pick, Indianapolis Colts, who need multiple players, have 7 picks, they have their quarterback, and Buffalo wants to get way up there. I think Buffalo, now I'm going to bring Peter King on, he'll think I'm crazy, via the Coward Global Satellite Network in New York. Okay, Peter, I made a ridiculous prediction a couple weeks ago, and it looks like it's happening. I said, I believe Buffalo, I mean, they wanted to get out from under Tyrod Taylor's contract, and they're not going to build their franchise. I like this coaching staff and this front office now. And I think they want to move up big in the draft. And I look at Indianapolis at 3, Peter, and they need players. And Chris Ballard's been a willing negotiator and a willing wheeler dealer. What do you make about Buffalo moving up yesterday? Is my theory hold any water that they have a quarterback in mind and they want to get to the 3 spot?
Well, in my opinion, you've picked the perfect spot, Colin, because, right now Chris Ballard knows that he has, I'd say, 10 to 12 significant holes on his team. Significant. And having the third pick in the draft and taking, let's say, Bradley Chubb would be great. But having the 12th, 22nd, and 65th picks in the draft, my belief, is far more desirable for Chris Ballard than having one pick of a potential edge pass rusher at 3.
Okay. Let's move to Kirk Cousins, to the Vikings. Okay. We were saying to start the show today, Peter, there are certain things in life you overpay for. Central air in Arizona, a winter coat in the Northeast, and quarterbacks. It's a lot of money for Minnesota to lay out to Kirk Cousins. But it doesn't seem egregious to me because I think he's an upgrade over Case Keenum. What are your sources? What do you believe about the contract reportedly out there for Kirk and the Vikings?
Well, I think there's a couple of factors at play here. I believe that Kirk Cousins could have gotten more money had he gone to the Jets. And again, it's not over yet, but it appears that it's over. And so if this was all about money, I think Kirk Cousins would have said to, or Mike McCartney, his agent, would have said to Mike McCagnon and the Jets, okay, $32 million a year. If you meet that number, he's yours. And, the fact that he's getting whatever he's going to get, $28 million, let's say, I mean, there's two takeaways here. Number one, it's amazing to me that, in this day and age of the NFL, that the two highest paid players in football by week's end are going to be Kirk Cousins and Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, that's just, it's kind of a funny thing. But so there's that part of it. And I think there's the other part that, look, I like Kirk Cousins a lot. I really, really like him as a person, as a dedicated, really, really good player. But, the fact is, Kirk Cousins has not won a playoff game. He has had a couple of big moments where he didn't come up big. The end of the 2016 season against the Giants, win in your in game where he played poorly. And again, I would have paid him if I were the Minnesota Vikings. I definitely would have paid him if I were the New York Jets. I like Kirk Cousins a lot, but he hasn't played at the highest level of football. So we'll see what happens. And I think he's got something to prove, to show that long term he's going to be a premier NFL quarterback. Final thing I would say, though, Colin, I think this is important. You're seeing a bunch of these things go 3 years. Albert Breer of our staff pointed out, I think very smartly, that you're going to see a bunch of 3-year contracts because these players would like to get a bite at the apple in 2021.
Yes.
Because there's going to be a new collective bargaining agreement. Yep. We finally are hearing that the players are going to really, and we'll see if they do.
Yeah.
But the players are going to drive a much harder bargain in 2021. So we'll see. But if they do drive a much higher bargain, what'll Kirk Cousins, if he plays well in the next 3 years, what'll he be worth at age 33 entering 2021?
All right, Denver and Case Keenum appear to be linked. I don't believe John Elway thinks this solves my quarterback issue. I think it feels more like a bridge. I still think he would go after a Josh Rosen and sit him behind him for a couple years. Do you believe the Case Keenum Denver stories that are out there? Does John Elway believe this morning, okay, great, I solved my quarterback issue?
No, I think what John Elway tries to do is get a low-round pick for Trevor Siemian. I think he brings back Paxton Lynch for one more year, and whatever happens, happens. But you just get the feel that Paxton Lynch is going to be elsewhere in 2019.
Yeah.
If he's going to be anywhere. And then I think the biggest thing to realize right now with the Broncos is that, they got the 5th pick in the draft. And I think if Baker Mayfield falls to them, I think they're going to have to think long and hard about what to do. Now, again, is Bradley Chubb there? Can they take that pick and give Von Miller the bookend guy that would make Von Miller even better? So I think Denver really is still in a state of flux. Keep one thing in mind about Case Keenum, okay? So you know that Gary Kubiak is coming back to play a larger role in the football operations of the Denver Broncos this year. Gary Kubiak had Case Keenum when he was the coach in Houston. Likes Case Keenum as a developmental project a lot.
Okay.
So I don't put it by them that Case Keenum's going to be their guy the next 4 or 5 years.
Wow. All right, Peter King, Monday Morning Quarterback. Okay, I'm going to throw this at you. Is that usually in the NFL, if you don't have a great roster or a team like Cleveland, then you have a bunch of cap space. San Francisco's got holes. They got a bunch of cap space. Green Bay has holes and doesn't have any cap space. I've always thought this is a well-run organization, but they have done the double whammy. They don't have much cap space, and they don't have a very good roster because when Aaron Rodgers got hurt, they were mauled. Maybe I was wrong, Peter. I look at what Minnesota's doing. I see the fledgling Bears. I like what they're doing. They have some nice weapons now. Did we just overvalue how well-run the Packers were? No cap space and an average roster?
I think the disappointing thing for the Packers is that they've spent a lot of money on defense, and they have not been rewarded. I mean, a lot of Ted Thompson's decisions, as it turned out, basically Dom Capers was the fall guy, but in some ways, Ted Thompson was the fall guy too.
Yeah.
Because their defense has been pedestrian at best collectively over the last 5-6 years. And I would just say this, that they put such an incredible amount of time and energy and draft resources into their defensive backfield. And with the exception, really, of HaHa Clinton-Dix, they have really not drafted or acquired players well in the defensive backfield. And again, shows again this week with basically shipping Demarius Randall, who they had huge hopes for as a honey badger type player in the secondary, can play anywhere and also can play a little down in the box too. And he just didn't pan out for him. So a lot of Ted Thompson's decisions are coming home to roost and not in a good way.
By the way, Richard Sherman was a great player. He went to Stanford. He has been a really, really important player in the NFL. But what makes a great agent, which is patience, calculated, sometimes conciliatory, diplomatic, doesn't necessarily make a great player. Did Richard Sherman make a mistake because he was dumped by Seattle, was his own agent, went into the negotiations with, some emotion and some vengefulness? Those are not good traits for an agent. They're great traits for a corner. Joe Thomas said yesterday, Richard, that's a bad contract. What did you make of Richard acting on his own and quickly signing with the Niners and getting no guaranteed money? And basically, San Francisco's got his rights for several years.
Here's the way I look at it, Colin. I've been really, I don't want to say blown away. I've been really surprised at the napalm-like criticism that Richard Sherman has gotten for doing his own contract and probably, but not certainly, leaving some money on the table. I think we just have to realize one thing right now about Richard Sherman. He's going to play 2018 at 30 years old. He's coming off an Achilles tear, and he's had problems with his other foot and heel that the 49ers were concerned enough with that they had an MRI done on that foot and Achilles and heel, as well as the one that was injured. So I think we are thinking of what Richard Sherman was a couple of years ago when he was going to be an $11 million player this year. And I just will remind you of two things. That, number one, Richard Sherman was unemployed and did not have a contract, all right? And so he went out there and started looking around. And he thought that his best chances were going to be San Francisco and Detroit, okay? And as I wrote in my Monday Morning Quarterback column yesterday, he called Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn of the Lions during his negotiations and told them, here's what I have from San Francisco. And they said, too rich for our blood. And so if he walks out of there and he gets into free agency this week, let's just say, and he starts looking around, could he have done better? It's possible. In fact, it's very possible. Should he have maybe just signed a one-year deal, proved that he's a great player still, and come back next year? That would be my only criticism of Richard Sherman. But I do want to just say one other thing. You know, maybe, and as he said to me, and as John Lynch said to me, we had one advantage that no one else had. We afforded him the opportunity to play the Seattle Seahawks twice a year.
Right.
And Colin, maybe Joe Thomas doesn't understand what it's like to cut by somebody and then want to show them that they made a mistake.
Yeah.
Maybe the people who've written all these things that said what an idiot Richard Sherman is, you know, don't understand that maybe this is what he wanted. Okay. And could he have gotten a couple million more guaranteed? Maybe. But 30-year-old corners with problems potentially with both feet. I mean, he wasn't going to make a lot more money wherever he went.
TheMondayMorningQuarterback.com, TheMMQB.com. Absolute pleasure. I know the weather's pretty rough out there, Peter. Take care of yourself. Get that winter coat. And thank you again for coming on.
All right, Colin.
You never turn down free money, right? Of course you would not. Well, if you're shopping online, that is kind of sort of actually what you're doing. And if you're shopping online without the best coupons, you're just paying too much. That means you're saying no to extra cash in your pocket. Now, there is, fortunately, a free browser extension called Honey, Honey, automatically finds the best coupons on the web, get the best price on everything, pizzas to big screen TVs. It's a free browser extension, automatically saves you money while you shop online. 2 clicks, that's it. Add Honey to any browser and add it to any browser for free. Then just shop like you normally do. And then Honey scans and tests millions of coupons in the background. And then at checkout, Honey automatically applies the best coupon. Time Magazine calls Honey basically free money. And over 7 million people use Honey every day. If you want to step up your online shopping game and stop giving away free money, get Honey for free. Here's what you do. You go to joinhoney.com/herd. HERD. joinhoney.com/herd.